Calaroga Shark Media.
I'm actually recording this one Friday, about an hour after the earthquake. Boy, that was fun. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Sam Morrill tweeted, iPhone sending you the earthquake alert an hour after makes me think we're getting these Amber Alerts once the car has already left town. I know you West Coasters are like, 4-8, really? Relax. Hey, it was a big deal here in the basement, New Jersey. I was actually in a CVS parking lot, and I was like, that was a strong gust of wind. And then the strong gust of wind went on for, 35 seconds. And I was like, oh, earthquake. And then my kids started texting me. I had the late bot write some jokes when the quake was initially mistaken for Chris Christie jumping into the presidential race. The earthquake was so weak, it was immediately offered a spot on the Jets roster. New Jerseyans were surprised to feel the ground shake. Usually the only thing shaking in New Jersey is someone's fist at another driver. So the earthquake kept us busy. We put out a bonus episode of 5 daily trivia questions about the earthquake and a bonus episode of Monsters, Sharks, and Dinosaurs talking about the various earthquake movies. Check those out where you get your podcasts. All that made me go back on Twitter, and lucky for me, I saw Jim Gaffigan tweeted something. Now, maybe, perhaps, possibly, but I doubt it. Jim Gaffigan saw the title of Friday's episode about has Bourbon sucked the comedy out of Jim Gaffigan, and Jim has rebounded. I hit click on this video, and at first I was like, oh, the bourbon has sucked all the fun out of Jim Gaffigan. But if I give it the full 2 minutes, this was actually pretty funny. He must have called in every favor in the book except Jerry Seinfeld, who must have said no. In this video, some of the voices are Joe Buck, Conan O'Brien, John Hamm, and the woman you hear at 1 minute 27, Sarah Cooper. You know Sarah Cooper. People get mad at me when I say this. She's famous for pantomiming to Donald Trump on TikTok. Don't get mad at me. That's what she's famous for. Anyway, let's listen to Jim Gaffigan, who somehow pulls the funny out here after a bad start.
Hi, it's Jim Gaffigan, the founder of Father Time Bourbon. I guess you could say I'm the father of Father Time Bourbon. I guarantee you it's good bourbon. Now, all you have to do is be 21 and you could be drinking Father Time Bourbon. Now, I'm sure you probably have some other questions.
How old do you have to be to buy Father Time?
Well, you have to be 21.
I'm over the age of 21. Can I still buy Father Time?
Yes, 21 is 21 or over.
Yeah, I've been told that I look like a teenager, so can I pre-order Father Time?
It's like buying alcohol in any other part of the United States. You just have to be 21 or older.
Why do you need to know my age?
I don't want to know your age.
I'm not a father. Can I buy Father Time?
Oh, well, that's just the name of the bourbon. I'm a father. I have 5 children.
So it's against mothers?
Why would you be anti-mother?
It's not anti-mother.
What did you call me?
I didn't call you anything.
It seems like if you wanted people to buy your scotch, you wouldn't be so hostile.
Well, I wasn't intending to be hostile, and it's not a scotch.
You're also selling a scotch?
Do I have to be 21 to buy the scotch?
It's bourbon, not scotch.
I'd like to buy Father Time Bourbon, but I'm not a fan of your comedy. Can I still buy it?
Well, do you know of any good comedians who are releasing a scotch or a bourbon?
If you'd like to buy Father Time Bourbon, you can always follow the link below or go to fathertime-bourbon.com. Thank you.
The Atlantic with this headline, is Theo Von the next Joe Rogan? Whoa, tap the brakes. The Atlantic writes, someone is talking to you. Or is he talking to himself? A deep, spacey voice with pondering pauses and a resinous Louisiana accent. There's this trick, the voice says. That's the devil out there. Your whole life it goes on. You'll think, oh, I'll just keep judging, keeping people at a distance. But then I get to the end of my life and I realize, you know what? I didn't win anything by doing that. That was a trick. And the only thing I won was being alone. The Atlantic points out Von's This Past Weekend podcast is huge. Currently the 8th most popular podcast in America, sandwiched between This American Life and The Ben Shapiro Show. Number 1 is Rogan. Vaughn has been on Rogan's show multiple times, and while this past weekend is fully inside the Rogan algorithm, partaking of the same vibe of heady masculinity and unsanctioned speech, tapping the same world of canceled professors, polar plungers, hungover stand-ups, supplement salesmen, moonlighting mystics, grifting neuroscientists, and gleaming mixed martial arts warriors, it's also different. The Atlantic tells us Theodore Capitani von Kernatowski III, did not know that, grew up in Covington, Louisiana. And showbiz-wise, it came up the hard way, multiple seasons on MTV's reality series Road Rules and its spin-offs, gigs hosting an online TV recap show, a hidden camera show, a lot of stand-up, including an appearance on Last Comic Standing. Vaughn, at 44, has grown into himself. Kevin Nealon on his YouTube show Hiking with Kevin asked Vaughn back in 2019 about his accent. Vaughn said, "For a long time, I tried to pretend like I didn't have one because I was trying to fit in. That was the devil's decoy right there." The Atlantic explains that Theo Vaughn will interview quote-unquote regular people, a mortician, a plumber, a female truck driver. How to describe the experience of listening to him riff? It's fast and slow. You're caught in a sort of languidly blooming stonery revelation. Say that 5 times fast. I got it on the first take, sort of. But with brilliant scintillas of poetry zipping around at light speed in the foreground. The Atlantic writes, and I agree with this, with Vaughn, I went on a bit of a journey. His 2 Netflix comedy specials, Regular People and No Offense, left me cold. Yeah. I agree. Stalking around with that twangy stand-up energy, overdoing his accent and making jokes about Denny's waitresses being ugly, I wasn't into it. I didn't laugh. Then, as I got deeper into this past weekend and as hazy backwoods conservatism swam into view, I had a political panic. I said to myself, Theo's a shill. He's a sinister vector of reactionary BS. He's a licensed fool in the court of Steve Bannon. But this, I decided, is a category error. When Vaughn is on, he's unstoppable. His recent conversation 2-hour improv jag with Tim Dillon is so hilarious, such a flaming atrocious summit of the American absurd, I had to pull my car over and sit there, weeping with laughter and relief. I think I will listen to that on Monday. I'm planning on doing a Eclipse-related drive. I've had that in my queue. I just haven't had the 2 hours to listen to it. Anyway, that's in the Atlantic. A good profile. Theo's podcast is good. And like I've said about a few podcasts recently, I might not agree with everything he says, but I'm a free thinker. I can listen to a guest and go, well, that's nonsense. But he's easy on the ears. I take in a lot of things. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like I said, my dog is 16 and a half, and I've been sleeping in the basement with her because she gets up every 4 hours and wakes up the rest of the family. So I just take one for the team. So we're up. We're up at midnight. We're up again at 4. Johnny Mac gets some insomnia, stares at the ceiling, goes, all right, time to listen to some podcasts. From the Pitch KC, Adam Caton Holland, he's from Denver, and he's telling Kansas City what to expect when pot shops open up there. This was pretty good. He said, pot shop names, they're going to be so dumb, just the worst puns imaginable, with terrible fonts and lazy graphics. Kansas Sticky, KC Keefs. If you can think of it, someone else will brand it with a pot leaf. Try to patronize ones that have the word relief in the title. Reward the ones that are at least trying to be professional. Hopefully, in turn, they'll reward you by not blasting EDM. Every zip stuff who sold drugs in high school is going to get into the pot game. They're going to call themselves ganjapreneurs, and they're going to refer to marijuana as flower, and you're going to want to roll your eyes so hard that they fall out of your head. If you've been squirreling away money for your kids' college funds, stop right now. Take it out and buy a warehouse. That warehouse will eventually be more valuable than any education. The secret is out in Kansas City. No one can afford a warehouse, even in the worst neighborhoods. You think it's expensive now? Check back in 10 years. Grow space is everything. Every part of Denver that was once stabby is now full of grow houses and utterly frivolous commerce and beautiful idiots vaping. Had my dad foregone my college fund to buy me a warehouse, I wouldn't have to write ridiculous 101 drug screeds in the pitch. I would just stop at my warehouse, mopping sweat away from my brow. Chortle gave Hannah Gadsby's Woof 4 out of 5. Hannah's performing at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Chortle says it's easier to define Hannah Gadsby's latest show by what it isn't rather than by what it is. That may be because the comic lost faith in what they were planning at the last minute, and advisedly so if their description of the Barbra Streisand-obsessed hour is anything to go by, and is now left with a looser collection of routines orbiting around the comedian's anxieties. Woof is not a laser-focused gut-wrench of a show like Nanette. How could it be? By placing limits on what they're prepared to talk about on stage, showing the comics' usual stubborn defiance when it comes to what's expected of them, is why the show is missing the ending. Yet, even an incomplete Gadsby show knocks the socks off many of their contemporaries, and Woof offers a stingingly funny assembly of typically smart, opinionated, and iconoclastic routines. A lot of big words on the podcast today. And all the things preying on the comic's mind, which may or may not have contributed to the aforementioned panic attack at an ice cream shack. Uh-oh. Whoa. This isn't a setup here. I just was like, all right, let me skim through the rest of this article. And the word swift caught my eye. Uh-oh. Let's read this. Hannah's disdain for the Barbie film, putting rampant commercialism in a feminist wrapping, is to be expected, though more controversial is confessing to not getting the appeal of Taylor Swift. Gatsby's analogy dismissing Swift was oddly specific and devastatingly accurate, showing the comic's writing to be as sharp and as defiant as ever, but occasionally poetic too. Boy, if I were Hannah, I would be worried because you don't want to make fun of Taylor Swift. One time, Joe Coy made fun of Taylor Swift, and it was vicious. Here, let's listen.
The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
I love that joke. You guys sick of this joke yet? I love that joke so much. Oh, boy, Joe Coy, that was so mean. So Hannah Gadsby is about to be canceled by the Swifties. We'll see if Taylor murders Hannah Gadsby's career the way she may have. I don't know for a fact, but she may have possibly murdered Joe Coy's career. Let's see who's at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. John, did you preload the website? Of course not. Let's see. Monday the 8th. This one says it as a clip. Nina Oyama is coming. Edgy title there. Nina is a 30-year-old comedian who doesn't really know what she's doing or where she's going. But one thing is for certain, she is coming. Smiley face emoticon. Chortle says, a natural comedy. Well, let's listen. I suspect this is going to be a little naughty and I'm going to have to make some edits, but all right, let's listen.
My name's Nina, by the way. Lovely to meet you all. Nina, I like to say it's easy to spell, spelled the same as the La Nina weather effect. Just like the La Nina effect, I too am warm and wet. And I'll ruin your party. If you couldn't tell from my entire situation, I'm gay. Hi. I like to think that I'm like so gay. I'm like 3 kinds of gay, right? Like I'm like the normal type of gay, which means homosexual. I'm the Christmas type of gay, which means happy. And then I'm the derogatory playground type of gay, which means I'm kind of really annoying. I don't know. I'm probably technically like a bisexual or whatever. I kind of like to think of my sexuality as like a pasta strainer. Like most of the time it keeps the spaghetti at bay, but occasionally a noodle will slip through.
Well, what'd you think? Should I tell you what I think? I'm just going to observe that's the clip she chose. Sashi Pereira's show is called Boundaries. Let's listen.
My top news is that I finally got to go on my honeymoon. Yeah, we eloped 3 lockdowns ago, so it was very exciting. We went to Fiji. Anyone been? Yes, Fiji, friends. For everyone else, amazing country. Weird incoming passenger declaration form. You know the form you fill out on the plane and it's like, are you carrying any plants? Are you carrying any drugs? This one said, are you carrying any holy water? Which I think might be the easiest substance to get through customs, because it looks so much like normal water. What are they going to do if you tick no? Just said this image of like Fijian border security officials just flicking suspected holy water at each other just to see if like a miracle happens. So they're going to be like, haha, got her. And what happened for them to put that on the form? Fijian border security briefing, just being like, someone keep surprise baptizing us. It's got to stop.
Okay, says the guy recording a podcast in the basement. I think the premise is good there. I think there's something to be done with TSA and holy water, et cetera, but I don't want to be negative. I'm trying to be supportive, but like, you listened. How hard are you laughing right now? These are the showcased clips. I don't know. Move on, John. Mindy Kaling is returning to Hulu with a new comedy, this one called Murray Hill. Hulu gave it a straight-to-series order. It's about New York City friends navigating their careers and personal lives. There's an original premise. New York City friends navigating their careers and personal lives? Where did you come up with that one, Mindy Kaling? John, you're so negative today. But listen to how original this is. 5 work-obsessed 20-somethings strive for professional success, and if they have time, personal happiness in Manhattan. Have you ever seen a show like that? I haven't. And here's another one that has me scratching my head while I'm being Captain Negative. An animated version of Good Times. You know, Good Times, J.J. Walker, Dynamite, that. It's back, except it's a cartoon for some reason. The cast includes J.B. Smoove, Yvette Nicole Brown, Jay Farrow, and some others. But my question is, why? I'm scrolling through the news here to see if I have anything positive so you're not like, what is this podcast? This guy's a jerk. I don't have one for you. Oh, wait, here's one. Politico was suggesting that No Labels take a look at some alternative political candidates. They said an option might be Dave Chappelle. Dave's got a taste of the culture wars and liked it enough to keep at it. A former Andrew Yang supporter, Chappelle has an eclectic ideological profile and a developed sensibility about the grievances that animate a range of disaffected Americans, including what he calls the poor whites who vote for Trump. Is Chappelle weird and controversial? Yes and yes. Has that been an obstacle to entertainers in other countries? It has been an obvious advantage. Would Americans really elect someone who tells stories about hanging out with strippers, mocks trans people and people with disabilities, offends Jewish voters, and makes excuses for Bill Cosby? They wrote, check who's currently leading in the 24 election. Send your letters to Politico, not Johnny Mac. This whole last third here is a disaster. I'm wrapping up. Whew. Sometimes you got to take the L, John. See you tomorrow.